Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is our 12th lecture, and in this we will calculate the moment of inertia for rigid objects. As per our previous discussions, we are familiar with the expression of moment of inertia I equal to summation I mi ri square, in which the ith particle was firstly assumed at displacement ri from the pivot point, and mi ri square constituted the moment of inertia for ith particle rotating about the pivot point, and for entire body we take summation for all the particles within the body of the object. Now here we will assume a three-dimensional rigid object. Three-dimensional means the mass distribution is continuous throughout the volume of the object, and the axis of rotation of the object passes through the center of mass of the object. These are the conditions under which we will have to modify this equation, which is the expression for moment of inertia for rigid objects. Now we assume an arbitrary element on the object such that it is at displacement ri from center of mass, and it is assigned a mass delta mi. Delta means the mass is very small, and it is so small that we can apply a limit delta mi is tending to 0. Firstly, we will have to modify this equation number 1 as per our given conditions. Now the expression can be written as I is equal to summation I ri square delta mi, where delta mi is mass of the small element taken on the rigid object. We say that this is our equation number 2. Now as we have already stated that delta mi is referring to very small mass, and we can take this limit delta mi tend to 0 over this expression, and now this expression can be expressed as I is equal to limit delta mi tends to 0 summation I ri square delta mi. By taking smaller mass of element, we are increasing the number of elements in the continuous mass distribution of the three-dimensional object. So this expression can be converted into an integral, and mathematically it can be expressed as integral r square dm. As we know that for any three-dimensional object having continuous mass distribution, we can have dm over dv equal to rho. So from this expression we can say that dm is equal to rho dv. Now the moment of inertia for such an object will take the form as I is equal to integral rho r square dv. This expression was specific for a rigid object having continuous mass distribution throughout the volume of the object. This is an assignment for students, examples 10.7 and 10.8 from the book Physics for Scientists and Engineers by Survey and Javed, 9th edition. Now we have to discuss the parallel axis theorem, where this theorem is applied. This theorem is applied when we have to calculate the moment of inertia for the rigid objects which rotate about an axis of rotation which does not pass through the center of mass of that object. Then the moment of inertia of such an object as per this theorem can be expressed as in two terms. It can be expressed in two terms. Moment of inertia for the rigid object will be equal to moment of inertia of rigid object due to its rotation about the axis passing through center of mass plus md square, where m is mass of the rigid object and d is the perpendicular distance between two axes which are the parallel axis, and one of these axes is passing through the center of mass. Now here this second axis which is not passing through the center of mass, and a point O which is the pivot point of this object is lying on this second axis which is marked as Z axis. It means the object is going to rotate about this axis. To verify this expression, we have to assume an Ayat particle over here, and this particle is at displacement Ri from center of mass, whereas it is at displacement d plus Ri from the pivot point A, which is lying on its axis of rotation, which is our Z axis as well. Now the moment of inertia caused about this Z axis due to rotation of this single particle can be taken as Iz equal to mass of this Ayat particle mi into displacement of this ith particle from the pivot point d plus ri whole square. It can be evaluated as mi d square plus mi ri square plus 2mi dri. This expression can be rewritten as for total moment of inertia of all for the moment of inertia of the whole object, means caused by all the particles. We will take summation Iz will be equal to summation I mi d square plus summation I mi ri square plus summation I 2d mi ri. Now we see that ri is the displacement of ith particle from center of mass. The ith particle is having mass mi, so center of mass is such a point. If on its right side a particle of mass mi is lying at displacement ri, then on the left side a particle of same mass will also be lying at the similar displacement. So one side will be having plus ri, the opposite side will be ultimately having minus ri. As this term is possessing ri without square, so minus ri will be cancelled out with plus ri, and hence this summation for the entire object will vanish. This third term is ignorable. Now we come Ic will be equal to summation I mi d square plus summation I mi ri square, and here it can be ignored. So we say that summation I mi gives the total mass of the object capital N, d square is the perpendicular distance between the two axes, and summation I mi ri square refers to the well-known expression which was marked as equation number 1 in our initial discussion of this lecture. So it refers to the moment of inertia about the axis which is passing through the center of mass of the object ICM. So this expression is the statement of the parallel axis theorem. In second part of the lecture, we have to calculate the rotational kinetic energy of a rigid object. For this calculation, we have to assume a rigid object which is again passing through our, which is again rotating about our z-axis, which is passing through the pivot point. This is our z-axis, and this object is rotating about this fixed axis. As we see that the object continues its rotation about this fixed axis, then we say that in space the object is stationary, as it is not going to escape this fixed axis. So it will be treated as stationary in space, but it is rotating about a fixed axis. So as far as the kinetic energy is concerned, we will have to calculate the rotational kinetic energy only, and will ignore the translational kinetic energy of the object. When we take into account the rotational motion, then we say that if here is a particle which is displacement Ri from this pivot point O, and the mass of the particle is mi, then this arrowhead is representing is counterclockwise rotation, and this Vi is representing the tangential speed of this tangential direction of this vector is representing the tangential velocity of ith particle. Then this tangential velocity can be considered to calculate the kinetic energy of this ith particle. We say that kinetic energy Ki will be equal to half mi Vi square. Mi is mass of ith particle, Vi is tangential velocity of the ith particle. As we know that the tangential velocity depends on the position vector from the pivot point. If a particle is taken further away, then its position vector will be having greater magnitude. If it is taken closer to the pivot point, ultimately the position vector will be having the lesser magnitude. So the tangential velocity will be adjusting accordingly. But the angular speed and angular acceleration for all the particles of the object will be same. The angular parameters don't depend on magnitude of the position vector. We take summation for the kinetic energy which was calculated for single particle, ith particle. For the whole rigid object, we take Kr equal to summation I Ki. So kinetic energy of the rigid object can be taken as summation I half mi Vi square, and Kr will become equal to half summation I mi Ri square omega square, as Vi can be taken as Ri omega. So Kr will become equal to half summation I mi Ri square omega square, and this isolated term can be replaced with I, moment of inertia of the whole object, into omega square. This equation 3 gives the rotational kinetic energy of the rigid object rotating about some fixed axis. Thank you.